It's all you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Expand Your Network time with Carla and Brent. Da-da-da-dun. Okay, so this is our second one. I'm going to give you a quick recap of what we did last week. We are talking about expanding your network and the different parts of that, okay, the different aspects of that. And last week we covered just like how to do it, some groups that you could get involved in and different things like that. We talked about setting a goal for the number of networking events that you're going to attend per week, per month, per year. And remember what these events are, like attending a wedding, attending a birthday party. Those could be networking events, because networking doesn't mean walking in and selling. Networking just means creating relationships with people. So anything really is a networking event. But if you want to be specific to your Isogenics business, we talked about walking clubs, reading clubs, like, book clubs, everybody read the same book, a fitness class, either starting one, becoming an instructor for one, or taking people to one. That is also a networking event. There's BNI, which has been very, very successful for lots of us, Chamber of Commerce, Toastmasters, and just also hanging out somewhere. Hang out at the library, hang out at the coffee shop, hang out at the mall, dog parks, things like that. Those are all networking opportunities for you to meet different people. And so what I would like to know in the comments, if you guys can, is I know Tammy and Ryan were on last week, and I can't even remember who else was, but did you guys come up with creation of some kind of network event? Did you guys create something? So just let us know about that. Okay, so that's going to be another homework that you guys will have to do for next week, is create something somehow. And then Brent?
Yes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. No, and I think that, and here's the thing, and part of what we're going to talk about a little bit today is, or I should say, what we always talk about is we don't assign tasks, right? We offer challenges, and sometimes you go after them and sometimes you don't. But that's the amazing thing about this business, is that you're not an employee, and in an employer-employee environment, you either do it or because if you don't do it, then you get in trouble. Here, if you don't do it, there's no repercussions for not doing it other than your bank account, right? Your bank account is your repercussion for not doing it. And so when Carla and I offer up an incentive or a challenge or something like that, like, hey, go out and create a networking event like we did last week, and you don't create that networking event, there's no repercussion. You just didn't do it. But if you don't do it, don't expect your bank account to change either, right? So that's kind of along the lines of some of the stuff we're covering. So anyway, that's the first part. Okay. I think we're going to talk about commitment level, which I think this falls right in line with that, right? So just to kind of give some background on this, Carla and I have actually had a conversation. I think actually, Carla, you brought it up, or no, you know who it was your friend that's going to be speaking for us. Who is it? What's her name?
Oh, Michelle.
Michelle. Yeah, Michelle talked about checking in with your team members' commitment levels. So one of the things that I would encourage you all to do is to check in with your commitment level with people, right? So when you check in their commitment level, it's different, right? I really like this, because if I call Carla up and I go, hey, Carla, how are you doing with your nutrition? And she's not really doing great with her nutrition, then all of a sudden she feels bad. But if I call her and I say, hey, Carla, I'm checking in on your commitment level this week, because when we started, you told me your commitment level was an 8. So how would you say this last week has been? Well, I was probably a 5 or a 6. Now they don't have to say I sucked at my nutrition. They just give a different number, and then you can kind of vary from that. You can kind of gather from that where they've been with their commitment level. And a commitment level is not right or wrong, okay? Whereas if I ask you if you're doing okay with your nutrition and you tell me no, that almost sounds like a wrong. Okay. So I think all of us as a group need to do better with asking about how is your commitment level. Ask them how their commitment level is at the beginning, and then ask them how their commitment level is when you check in with them, instead of saying, hey, are you drinking your shake?
Right.
Ask about their commitment level.
So has anything changed? So has anything changed with you then? You know, if they say, well, I haven't been doing it. Where's your commitment level? Because when we first talked, you were here. Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And also, you guys, that's a good question to ask, just to keep you connected to your team, to keep you engaged with them. You really do want to know. You really do care about them. And that's a way to show it. Then it doesn't sound like, are you still doing shakes? Because that also sounds like, are you going to place an order? So I love that. I'm really glad that you picked up on that from the podcast, because I love that. And Karen is asking, what if you never originally asked them your commitment level? I think that's okay, because now that's a great reason to reach back out to them and say, hey, Tammy, you know what? I care about you. And I never asked you your commitment level to the program, to the nutrition and to the business. And I need to know that so that I can help you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, I think I would just put it upon you that you goofed and now you want to know. That's how I would do it.
Yeah. And it's an easy question to ask, right? Like, you know, I know Carla's on a cleanse day. So I send Carla a message. I say, hey, Carla, what's your commitment level today? And she's crushing it, right? She's like, I'm 11. I'm like, fantastic, right? That's an easy question, right? Hey, how's your cleanse going? Sitting on the can and I'm not really enjoying it. Okay. Right? So if that's the case, then that's not that might cause a different level of conversation versus saying, how's your commitment level? My commitment level's fine. I'm sitting here doing my thing, but my commitment level's high, right? So you can kind of keep it on that level. And if they say their commitment level is a 0, then you have a conversation, right? And well, is there something I can do to help you with your commitment level? Instead of saying, oh, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. It's, how can I help you raise your commitment level? Right?
Yep.
How can I help you re-engage your commitment level? Okay.
And you guys might think that that's kind of a lot to ask people, or, you know, like, oh, it's going to take so much time. But you know what? That will serve you. I promise you, these kinds of conversations will serve you, because you're just going to show how much you care and how much you're committed to them. They're not going to need to ask you, hey, Brent, how committed are you to my business? How committed are you to my to this team, to me? They're never going to have to ask that of you. They're already going to know, because you're asking those questions. So, yeah, I say definitely go for it.
Cool. All right. So that's the commitment level conversation, right? And you guys can kind of put your verbiage behind it and figure out how you want to do it. But that's kind of the commitment level conversation. Next one is comfort level, right? This is a little bit different. So comfort level is, what's your comfort level with, like Tammy and I were talking just before we started the call, and her comfort level towards going towards this, you know, first celebration, you know, she's probably gonna, you know, she's feeling a little like probably, whoa, what's gonna happen here, right? So it's what's gonna happen. And so your comfort level can be different for different things. Like your comfort level in talking about nutrition could be one thing. Your comfort level in talking about the business could be higher or lower, right? So what is your comfort level with discussing nutrition? What's your comfort level in talking about the business, right? And you really need to find where those comfort levels are at. And through education, and I'm not just talking about reading and writing and studying and that sort of thing, or research, but I'm also talking about education through sharing, right? Tammy just shared a really cool thing with me about how isogenics has impacted her type 2 diabetes, right? I've heard that story so many times from so many people about the positive impact of isogenics on their type 2 diabetes. Now, isogenics doesn't claim to cure or prevent any disease. We always have to say that. However, I can tell you that through the number of times I've heard this, my comfort level in having a conversation about the power of isogenics as a nutritional resource and impacting diabetes, type 2 diabetes specifically, my comfort level about that is higher, right? I didn't do any research, really, but I'm talking to people that are living it, and that increases my comfort level. Go ahead, Carla. What you got one? I'll ask Carla. That's mine on nutrition. So, Carla, give me one on business.
Well, everybody's comfort level in talking about the business is different because everybody views this business differently. Their perspective about business is different. So, somebody would say to me, "I'm not a salesperson, so I can't do what you do because I'm not a salesperson. I'm not outgoing like you, so I can't do what you do." Well, that's your perception of what this business is about. You might have to work on that a little bit because I'm not selling people shakes and e-shots at a home party. They're not placing an order with me and then I'm shipping them their items like we used to do at the candle party. That's not what this is about. I'm sharing with people I care about how being in nutritional balance has made me look and feel better. I'm sharing my personal story, which I know all about, in an effort to possibly help you. Like Brent always says, I have something that may or may not help you. Do you want to check it out? Because this is what it did for me. So that to me is the business. The business is creating relationships with people and sharing your story. Now, creating relationships with people also, think about that. That does not mean spilling your entire life. And people, like, you don't have to be super personal with people. You just be you, and you have a relationship with them at whatever level you are comfortable with. I'll give you an example. There are some people that when I meet them, I can't really explain it. But when I see them or meet them for the first time, there is a attraction. I'm not talking about how they look, nothing like that. I'm talking about they are magnetic, and I want them to be in my life because they make me instantly feel good. It's some kind of energy. It's matching mine. I don't know. But this has happened to me several times in the last few months. I mean, it's countless how many times this has happened to me that I have seen somebody and I have just walked up to them and said, I feel like we need to be in each other's life. Is that weird? By the way, I have a hydrate sample for you. That exact thing has happened to me so many times. The person has come into my life. I've come into their life. That's a different level of a relationship, right? So we're serving each other, whether they're using isogenics or not, we're serving each other. And I just can't let those people go. I can't not say something to them because I'm afraid I won't see them again. I got to get them. And I just tell them that. Nobody has ever said, okay, you're weird, get out of my face. Nobody's ever said that to me. Everybody has said, I felt the same thing. Or, okay, so what? Why do you feel that way about me? And then we've had a conversation. Now, that's a different kind of relationship that I'm going to have with that person because we have this matching energy. So you might not feel that comfortable, right, with doing something like that. And so you need to create relationships with people that are comfortable for you. So that's why we wanted you guys to create your own networks. Because if you create a walking club, you're going to start walking with people that you kind of already know, and you're going to take that time to get to know them, and that'll be a slow progression into a relationship. So you need to do this at your level, but you need to do something to sharpen the relationship. But again, it doesn't mean I'm an open book. I'm going to tell you everything about me. It just means you're seeing, you know what, think of your relationship with people on how can you help them. And if you think of it that way, then you're not the one opening up, they are. You know, I know a lot of people don't want to always open up, and I respect that. So just think of it that way. So just kind of change your mindset about what this is. This is sharing your story, and this is engaging with people and having a relationship with them to see how you can serve them. And maybe that will change your commitment level for the business and help you get you have to get a little bit uncomfortable. I wish I would have wrote this down. I can't believe I didn't write it down. I was listening to a podcast and he said, I feel bad for people that live their whole entire life and they're not uncomfortable. I feel so bad for them. If they're not uncomfortable ever, then they're not growing. And then they're just not growing. They're just going through life like that. So you kind of got to get a little uncomfortable so that you can grow. And we're all about that. Isogenics is a personal development company with a compensation plan.
Absolutely.
Brent told me that a long time ago.
That's right. No, it's true. And I love that. And, you keep coming back to the groups thing, and I'm looking at Michaela with the girls, and I'm thinking that's another great example of a group, right? A mommy's group, just something where, hey, let's have a kids get together for an hour during this particular time. And anything at all where you have a group of people with an initial common interest, that's all you need, right? One of the trainings that Isogenics used to give, and they probably still give it at ICE University, when you meet somebody, let's say you meet somebody that's totally different than you, right? Totally different, like somebody you would never really have in your life. But chances are there's something, and they always use two circles, right? There's something that overlaps, right? And this overlap could be puppies, it could be cats, it could be food, it could be kids. You could have everything else in your life is totally separate, totally opposite. But if you can find that one overlap, then that one overlap can lead to a valuable relationship, even if that valuable relationship is just over both of you's love for dogs, right? It could totally be that, right? It doesn't have to be everything else, but it could just be that one thing. So I love it. Oh, that's great.
I want to give you guys some tips to get uncomfortable. If you're willing to say, if you're going, okay, Carla and Brent, I know I need to get a little more uncomfortable. I know I need to step out of my box a little bit. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to walk up to people and say, hi, I'm attracted to your energy. Okay. But you want to do something. Here's some things that you can do. Okay. First thing is write out affirmations, write out some statements. And if you can't think of any statements, then you can Google affirmation statements for being uncomfortable. I'm serious. They will have some for you. And write it out and put it on, you guys know me. I got them on my large Post-it note. Okay, I got this piece of paper. You can see it right behind me. I got one right over here. I got one on my window over here. That pink piece of paper is another big Post-it note. These are all affirmation statements because I need them too. I say them every single day to myself. Every day I say them to myself. That is my number one way that I use to get uncomfortable because believe it or not, Ryan Sedler, I am uncomfortable sometimes. So use affirmation statements. If you don't want to write them all out in one day, then write out one sentence per day. So at the end of the month, you're going to have 30 awesome statements. Okay? The next thing you can do is listen to podcasts. They 20, 30-minute podcasts, they get you all jacked up. If you're listening on Apple iTunes, which hopefully most of the world has an Apple phone, so on the bottom left corner, if the person is talking too slow and you want to get jacked up, you can speed up the podcast. They can talk faster. It's really awesome if you're listening to a podcast that they're really slow. I discovered it by accident. But I'm serious. Sometimes when people are talking fast, you're starting to get all jacked up. You're starting to actually move. So I do that on purpose, but I can't speed up Brendan Bouchard. He talks too fast. Okay, but listen to podcasts that are going to pump you up. Also, link arms with people that are a little more awkward not awkward. Link arms with people that are a little more outgoing than you. So Ryan and I, we're friends. And he's linked arms with me. And I need him to go to my BNI for me once in a while and stand up and do my 60-second commercial. That is not comfortable for him. He probably hates it. But guess what? He's my friend. And so he does it because he's my friend. And I asked him to. And I also give him a box of e-shots. But that's not the point. He goes. And so I feel fantastic that I'm helping Ryan and I'm doing it on purpose, and he probably knows that. I'm helping him get out of his comfort zone. And he feels good because he's helping out his friend, and he knows what he's doing also. So you need those people. You know, you need those people that are going to say, come on, I need you. Can you do this for me? If my sister hadn't made me go to fitness class, the Pound Fit class, I mean, I wouldn't be loving group fitness. I love group fitness. And it's because she said, come on, you got to come with me. And I was like, but my knees. And she's like, no, come on, you got to come with me. So you have to link arms with people like that. So do that.
I love it. No, it's true. And it's that whole accountability partner thing, right? So when you're talking to somebody, you know, and they're talking about getting started in Isagenix, I would always tell you to ask them who they have for their accountability partner. Now, that accountability partner might want to join Isagenix with them, or they might not, but they need an accountability partner. Why? Because there's going to be that time when they're like, I don't really want it. You know, oh, but my knees, to use Carla's line, right? Oh, but my knees. Look, I've known you forever, and your knees are fine. Let's go, right? So that accountability partner is so important. And if you ask about the accountability partner, you may have just located their first sign up, right? So always ask them who could be their accountability partner. It doesn't matter if they're in Isagenix or not, but who can they call and ask for support that they know is going to support them in this journey, right? And then what you might want to do is ask them to, because like Carla said, write it down, right? So if Tammy's my friend, I've known her forever, and I go, hey, Tammy, you know what? I just started this new nutrition program. I just want to make sure that you know that I'm doing it, because I want you to hold me accountable and check in with me and see how I'm doing. Not asking her to start, not asking her to join me. I'm simply asking her to call me, you know, once a week, once every couple days, and ask me how I'm doing.
Okay,
Right?
so that's brilliant right there. That's just brilliant. So the next person that you enroll, the question is, what is your commitment level to this program, and who's your accountability person? So next to their name is 8 and Susie Q.
Right.
And there's your follow-up, you guys.
Yeah. And then have them reach out to Susie Q right there when you're there. Right? Send Susie Q a message. Say, hey, Susie, I just want to let you know I'm using this new nutrition program, get started, and I know I can count on you. Can you please call me every 2 or 3 days and just check in with me?
I love that.
Right? You're not asking her to do it. You're not asking her to join. You're not invading on her. Now, is she going to ask? Probably, you know, but you're not asking them to enroll somebody right away. You're simply asking them who their friend is that will check in with them and encourage them and give them positive support. Because that friend may not be their spouse.
Right.
Right? It may not be their spouse. It may be somebody totally different than what you would have expected it to be. So, all right, I think we're about 5 minutes out here, Carla.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's the comfort level. And then, so I wanted to ask, I'm going to commit that we're not going to go over, Carla. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what we're going to talk about next week, because I think we've covered some good stuff, right? Have we covered good stuff? Cool. All right. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about next week. Okay. So what I would like for everybody to do that listens to this now or listens on recording is I'd like for you to think about something that you did in your life where you committed to something and you reached a point of no return, right? You committed to something, you decided to do it, and when this particular event happened, you knew there was no looking back, right? And that might be you decided to go to college, you decided to quit college, you decided to take a specific job, you decided to move someplace, you decided to travel someplace, you decided to go to celebration, and that point of no return was when you got in the car and started the ignition and started driving down the road, right? So what is something that you did in the last, whatever, in your past, that you can say was a point of no return? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about those points of no return, and we're going to talk about what that takes to make that commitment, and then obviously how that's going to relate to the Isagenix business and that sort of thing. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, because I'm going to start talking about this more, is the victim versus a willing participant mentality. Okay? I read about this the other day, and I've really been thinking about it a lot. In fact, it was part of my business, my BNI commercial this week was about victim versus willing participant. And here's the analogy. You get to be a victim until you know that there's an option. The minute that you know there's an option, you now have to make a decision. Are you going to stay as a victim, because you're really no longer a victim, because now you're a willing participant? Okay? And I really want you to think about that. At the point that you realize there's an option for something, you're either a willing participant or you make the change. That's really the only options. And that comes to all kinds of different things. That could come to your personal life, or it could just come to your fitness situation. So let's take your fitness situation. Your fitness situation is, because I'm gonna take the lighter option, right? So the lighter option is your fitness, right? Your fitness is, you've got one body, and you can be a victim of that body.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute that you know there's an option, and a real option to do something different, and you choose to stay and you continue to do those things that keep your body in the condition that it's in, now you're a willing participant. Oh, but I love my hamburgers from McDonald's. Oh, I love my Wendy's. Oh, I love this. I love that. I've got to have my soda. I got to have my Mountain Dew. I got to have my Dr. Pepper. I got to have this. I got to have that. That's okay. I'm just telling you, you are a willing participant in the continual downfall of your overall nutrition. You can no longer claim victimhood at that time. Okay, so you're going to hear a lady talk a lot more about that. I'm going to bounce that around a little bit more and kind of develop it into a better conversation. But yeah, so let's focus on not being a willing participant and move forward. Okay.
Okay.
So you've got the last minute, Carla.
Oh. Okay, so if you haven't created a network group, please do that in the next week. There's one thing. And then I also really, 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 I feel deeply passionate about these affirmations. Let's just see if you guys can write down 7 statements. And if you already have affirmation statements, then see if you can add 7 more. I've got these little Post-it notes all around my house. You want to know how we earned that trip to Grand Cayman? Because Brent had a conversation with me and said, you need to believe that you're going to be there. And he told me to say it. So I said it every day. And I put the Post-it note on my mirror. And I said, we will be in the Grand Cayman Islands in October. And then I put my makeup on. And that is no lie. Don't even tell yourself, I can't. Don't even tell yourself, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to meet anybody. I don't know anybody. Like, don't even say that anymore. But you can only practice that through your affirmation. So write down 7 strong statements, 1 per day for the next 7 days. That will become your affirmation then that you can say every single week. And when you get sick of saying that, then you can write 7 more. So that's just what I want you to do, is 1 per day.
Love it.
You can even do that when you're in Nashville, because Nashville has pens and papers too.
I wrote down, write 7 statements. So I'm going to do my Carla assigned homework and write my 7 statements of affirmation down.
Okay.
Love it.
All right. Oh, hi, Abby. It's over.
Abby shows up and it's time to go.
Double homework for her.
All right. So I'm gonna stop the recording, but I'm going to make this statement before I stop the recording. So eventually, Carla and I are going to turn this into some sort of a podcast program. So that's affirmation number 1. I am affirming that at some point we're going to turn this into a podcast type program, and we're going to keep doing this. It's good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Look forward to seeing many of you in Nashville.